RAGNARÖK is here. Loki has started the destruction of Elbaph. And we just got a glimpse at St. Killingham's horrifying powers. Welcome back to the Grand Line Fantasy Everyone. One Piece, Chapter 1142 just dropped, and as always, it was amazing. Also, I have to apologize for missing the chapter reviews for the last two chapters. I wasn't able to review chapters 1140 and 1141 because of some personal reasons. Anyway, we are back with chapter 1142, so let's get into it. The chapter starts at the Walrus School, where we see a giant silhouette of a snake-like monster attacking the school. At first I thought this must be a monster from the underworld, like the teachers. But we later learn that these creatures are the result of St. Killingham's powers. More on that later. We see the kids are terrified and running wild. We then are introduced to two new characters, the teachers at the Walrus School. We see the math teacher, Blade, and the principal of the Walrus School, Principal Kiba, who is later revealed to be a former pirate, and also Anjay, whom we have already met. As the giant snake monster is about to attack a kid, we see Principal Kiba sprint towards the monster with a hammer-like weapon and smash him in the face. And if that was not enough, we get a named attack from the former Marine Vice Admiral, Saul. He coats his fist with hockey and punches the snake monster through the ground. Saul being a Vice Admiral, it's no surprise that he is at least this strong. And interestingly, the kids who were disgusted by the thought of violence mere chapters ago are now cheering on their teachers. We get this adorable panel of the kids mesmerized by how strong their Saul sensei is. We get introduced to two other teachers at the Walrus School, PE teacher Wolf and Professor Ilva. And I have to say, not a great introduction for Mr. Wolf here. He is badly injured on the ground. Professor Wolf tells us that Professor Ilva and other kids started walking towards the beach. They were asleep and not responding to anything. He also warns Saul not to touch any of them, which I think is because touching them will also affect the person. We get this panel of all the kids walking in line, and interestingly, we see this arrow that is guiding them towards the beach. This has to be Gunko's powers that are directing them to the ships. And I have said it before, and I will say it again. Gunko's powers are really absurdly amazing. She can do so much with her arrow powers. Saul and Principal Kiba realize that something strange is happening on the island. They immediately sound the horn to warn the people of Elbaph, and then we see other monsters appear on the Sun Realm. Simultaneously, the kids start to faint. Robin and Chopper are terrified seeing all the chaos that is happening. Elsewhere in the underworld, Loki picks up his hammer, Ragnir. He still has one shackle of sea prism stone attached to his left leg. He asks Luffy and the others to release the last shackle. And another fascinating thing to notice is the sheer size difference between Loki and Haruden. Loki absolutely towers over him and makes him look tiny. I don't know how Haruden is going to be of any help to us. We have seen him fight in Dressrosa, and he was defeated by Gear 2nd Luffy. I genuinely hope he trained after returning to Elbaph. Otherwise, he's going to get wrecked, surrounded by so many monsters. I'd go as far as to say that Sanji would easily take down Haruden. So I hope Oda has something cooking for the future King of Giants. We see Luffy surprised that Loki is rampaging now that he is free. Like, come on Luffy, what do you think was going to happen? Loki says that they better release him before he hits something with his hammer, probably suggesting that the hammer also has some kind of powers. And I think it does. He reminds us about the weakness of the Elbaph tree. Gerd talked about this in the last chapter, how there was a village on one of the branches of the tree, and it caught fire. So they had to cut the entire branch off to save the country. Apparently, fire and lightning are the weakness of the treasure tree atom. Now, it wouldn't be wrong to speculate that Loki's hammer has the powers of Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, because we see when Loki hits the tree with the hammer, a lightning strike of sorts appears and results in a huge fire. And I think this is just the powers of his hammers. Loki's own devil fruit powers are something different. I may be wrong here, but that's what my gut tells me. We go back to the Walrus School where Ange talks about how she remembers those monsters. Earlier in the class, the kids were talking about how Loki would destroy the world, and some said Nika would be the one to destroy the world, and who is more scarier. We get this panel where all the kids talk about various monsters that they are afraid of. They talk about Nidhogg, Jormungandr, Draugr, ghosts, storms, and some legendary kid says his mom, who is then actually manifested amongst the other monsters. We can see it amongst the monsters in the corner on the left side. That kid is going to have some serious nightmares after seeing his mother as a monster. Anyway, we learn that all those monsters appearing on the Sun Realm, and the manifestations of the fears of the kids. In the absolute terrifying last panel, we see a parade of giant monsters that the kids were afraid of. We see Fenrir, a mythical creature from Norse mythology, a ghost, a storm cloud monster, a Loki monster, as if we already didn't have one rampaging at that very moment. And what appears to be Oda hinting at Evil Nika, we see a monster who looks exactly like Nika, with his iconic pose holding a sword and a shield. I really want this to be Oda, foreshadowing an evil side of Nika that we get in the future story. I am so excited to see what havoc the evil Nika causes. Also, Oda now has a chance to face Luffy in his Gear 5th form and this evil Nika against one another. Oda, please don't rob us of that. That battle would be a sight to see. Imagine the giant's state of mind when they see two Nikas facing off. That would blow their minds. Now, in the below panel, we see Saint Keelingum sleeping, or is he? In the last few chapters, we see him dozing off at the end. I thought he just went to sleep, but now it seems like he was using his powers, and boy, we are in trouble if these are his true powers. Imagine having a power that brings forth the fears of your opponents. I think that is actually his power. It's going to be pretty tough to deal with these Holy Knights because they have some seriously broken powers, and I presume we are yet to see Saint Summer's powers. I wonder what absurd powers he's got, and I can't wait to see what more they can do. Saint Summers asks Gunko what it is that she fears, and Gunko interestingly replies with Nika. That means she knows about the sun god Nika, and I presume that all the other Holy Knights also know about Nika and its history, which is interesting. And that was it for One Piece Chapter 1142. Chaos is about to begin on Elbaph, and we are going to get non-stop action, tragedies, and lore drops. And I can't wait for that. As always, amazing chapter. I think we have a break next week, so we have to wait for what's to come next. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this chapter review, do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Comment down your thoughts, theories, and opinions about the chapter. Your support means the world to me. Check out my One Piece Final Battle series, where I speculate on how I would like the final battle of One Piece to unfold. If you are interested, the link for that is in the description below. Until next time, keep dreaming big and sailing the Grand Line.